Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Life's a Stage with me, Faridah Liu on Jenn TV. Thank you for joining me today. And today's topic is about self-reflection and what that teaches us. And there's also the other word, mindfulness. Not a new word, but a movement that's been made more popular recently in this VUCA world we live in. And VUCA, in case you don't know, stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And as if the world wasn't VUCA enough, we had to get a pandemic. So mindfulness for me is also about being still enough to be reflective and to hear my thoughts clearly on situations and things I need to do next. And sometimes it's even about doing nothing. So how has self-reflection helped? My two guests today are good friends. First, Faridah Hameed. On LinkedIn, it says, is your communication working for or against you? She's the conscious communication coach for business leaders, YouTuber, and a colonial mentality buster. We might talk a little bit about that later. Nowrid, Amin, hails from a foreign land. He's originally from Bangladesh. He's a TEDx speaker, HRDS certified digital marketer, trainer, and consultant, and head of digital marketing for JUI, IQI. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So, selamat berpuasa and thanks for doing this. Both of you, right? Glad to see you both again. I don't think we saw each other the whole of last year, right? We were just like, did we?
What's happening? Last time we saw last year February.
Was it February?
Yeah, last year February.
Okay, before it all happened, right? So, so if you have any questions, do put them in the comment section, and we'll try to address them. And maybe we'll start with, for those who don't know you guys, maybe you can share a little bit about who you are, what you do. We'll start with the gentleman first, Nowrid.
Okay, thanks, Faridah. So yeah, as Faridah said, I'm a digital marketer, a full-time digital marketer, but people actually misjudge it. People think I'm a full-time trainer, but I'm actually a full-time trainer working with JUI IQI as the head of digital marketing. But apart from working with IQI, I'm also a freelance digital marketing trainer. I work with different corporates, different institutes, and also a public speaker.
Oh, okay. This promising young man. Faridah Hameed. Faridah and I go back a long way. But anyway, let's hear your story, Faridah.
So where do I start? I'll give you a condensed version of my background. So my name is Faridah. It's Faridah Hameed. And I'm a coach and a trainer. I specialize in conscious communication, and we'll come to that in a bit. Yeah. But in a nutshell, it's I've had a career of about 25 years, working a whole range of the communication sector. Started my career as a current affairs and investigative journalist, moved on to public relations, and then I did publishing for a while, and then went into content development and content creation. So that's my career. And then over the last 10 years or so, I've been doing training and coaching. And now I specialize in personal communication and leadership communication mastery. So today, most of my clients are from all over the world. Thank you, because of virtual now. So they come from all over the world. And basically, in a nutshell, what I do is I help them take their written and verbal communication to the next level, so that people can inspire confidence, gain credibility, and perhaps most importantly, create meaningful impact with the message or the work that they're trying to do.
Right. Of course, I know I've interviewed her many times on radio, and of course it's FaridahHameed.com.
Yes, the double E.
Double E. So not just Hameed right now. So okay, I want to know, like, so as we were saying, right, you were media, PR, and publishing, and what have you, right? How did self-reflection play out in your life, in your various roles, having worked, right, and to what you're doing now, right? So you were this, and I guess you move on to the other things. So I'm sure there was a lot of thought in all the different things you've done.
So I think to give you the sort of the big picture, I have to tell you the story of where the first self-reflection sort of started. So it was my first job as a current affairs journalist, and I'd been at the job for about 5 years. And then I was at a crossroads, like, do I want to continue doing this for another 5 years, or do I want to move on? Because we had a saying in journalism, I don't know whether you've heard it, that if you stay anything beyond 5 years in newspapers, print journalism, you probably end up spending your whole life there, right? So we had a saying in that time. So I was coming to the 5-year mark, and I thought, okay, where do I want to go with this? Do I want to continue? Because I was very good at what I did. I loved it. I loved my colleagues. It was very nice. But I thought, I'm so young. At that time, I think I was about 26, 27 maybe. And I thought, the communication industry is so big, it's so wide. And I don't want to look back 10 years and think, I didn't explore those different areas. So I made the decision at that point, because of that self-reflection, to say that, there's so much more out there, and if I don't go and explore it, I know I'm going to regret it.
Right.
But it was hard because, when you enjoy what you're doing, it's hard to walk away. But now on hindsight, when I look back, because that was the question I asked in every job, like, do I want to continue doing this, or is it time to move on to something else? And the self-reflection, I think for me at least, was because I was always looking for the next adventure, the next thing that I was going to learn.
Okay.
And so I never wanted to get into a situation where I was just so comfortable and I could do it automatically. I mean, yes, I enjoyed it, but I wanted to learn something new. And I've carried that with me, into everything that I'm doing now. I was talking to Nowrid just now. I'm fascinated with digital marketing. So that's my thing, where I'm learning so much about it now.
The next thing that you want to look at. No, because I was looking at myself as well. I guess I've always been quite self-reflective, right? Okay, in terms of I talked about it in my book, how TV and radio came to me accidentally, right? But I was like, I want to do PR, But the doors just opened for me. I said, okay, this is a good thing to do on the side, but I wanted to focus on a career in communications. Okay, so I've done the agency work, and now I want to work for an MNC and all that, right? I think I had a lot of time to self-reflect as my son was growing older, right? And it's like, okay, as he's going to primary 1, right? Then it's like, okay, he doesn't need me physically there with him as much as before. But I think it was still fuzzy. I think only probably right now I'm a bit more conscious of self-reflective. What is it that I want? What is it that I'm good at? Right?
Because those days, those days, there was no all these, big seminars and conferences. So we pretty much kind of just, what is the word for it? We kind of just
wing it.
We were just winging it.
We bought a book.
Yeah, we bought a book.
The book was interesting, and then we say, okay, let's do that, right? What about you, Nowrid, right? Tell me about your professional journey, right? And to what you're doing right now.
Okay, as I said, I'm working with UI IQI, but the funny thing is, whenever people explore me in LinkedIn, they think I'm a trainer, I'm a full-time trainer. So, but the training things comes accidentally, like what you have mentioned, like I'm a passionate digital marketer. I can live, eat, drink, sleep on digital marketing. So, but what happened in 2017, Institute tell me like, hey, we want to launch a course for like 3 months, digital marketing. Would you like to take it? So I feel like, I'm a digital marketer who solved the problem of like the corporates. And now I'm going to talk with some people in the class solving their problem, which probably will be a very silly problem. So I'm not sure, am I the right person? So I reject the offer. And then they knocked me again. Because, they didn't knock me again because I was so brilliant. They knocked me because they don't have enough time and they're looking for someone so badly. And unfortunately, they only knew me on that time.
Unfortunately.
So I'm not very brilliant, but I'll say like, and then my wife told me like, there's no harm if you just try once. Like you try once, and then if it's not working, you can always say no.
Right.
But if you didn't try, and after 5 years, when you look back to your life, you'll ask yourself, you probably might feel that this is an opportunity you have missed out.
Okay, wise woman, your wife.
And then what happened for I started on 2017, and I think from that time now, I love training more over being a digital marketer. Yes, I mean, there's no compromise on like my digital marketing activity, but I think now I'm loving myself as a trainer, and I feel like I can help people a lot and contribute a lot in that way. So yeah, it's kind of also part of self-reflection. When I ask myself, am I want to do it? The answer was yes, there's no harm on trying.
And what you were saying, like, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, will I look back, right? And regret I never just even explored it.
Exactly.
But when in 2017, were you already working with the same company?
Yes, I was actually working with the same company, but it was only IQI because IQI didn't merge with UI. So it was IQI. So I was working full time with them, and it was like my after job, like from 6:30 to 9:30.
Right.
Yeah. So yes, I was working with that company.
And now you're using that technology of what you've learned into your current role.
Exactly. Now it's becoming more exciting because whatever I'm learning there, I can actually teach my students. So they are getting more beneficial than anyone. So I always feel like a trainer, when he's a practitioner, he can add a lot of value.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then you got anything else to ask a former journalist? You can also ask, right? Okay. Now you call yourself a conscious communication coach, right? What exactly is that? Why?
Okay.
Because a lot of communication is unconscious.
Yes, because most people are compulsive communicators,
Okay.
and they suffer from verbal diarrhea.
Right.
So we go through life often from childhood to adulthood without ever questioning, reviewing, or refining how
Reflecting.
we speak, how we are presenting ourselves to others, what is our language pattern, because we just speak, because that's what we've been doing for like 20 years or 30 years, because there's no classes to go to. You go study English, but you don't really study communication. So you kind of wing it, right? Yeah. And most people do a very bad job of winging it. Now, I wasn't an expert at it as well, even though I studied mass communication.
Right.
But what I realized actually is that when people are very unconscious with your communication, you can actually, there's a pattern of behavior you see where you're not getting the results that you want, whether you're negotiating your salary, whether you're trying to get a new job, you're trying to get a promotion, you're trying to get a new client.
Right.
Because just like anything else in life, let's say you wanna become more fit, or you wanna get more muscles. You have to do the fundamentals, and then you have to consistently do it, and then you have to look at the results you're getting and then move on. So I was very fascinated with this whole thing because I saw it in myself with some of the results that I was getting. So this happened when I was in my 30s, particularly in my relationship. So that was kind of the trigger, my personal relationship. So that was the trigger that said, what am I doing and how am I communicating that I'm not getting the results that I want? So that is what I do now with my clients, is that when they come to me, usually actually all my clients are highly accomplished, majority of whom are women. And they are very good at their job and all of that. But they realize they're not quite getting the results that they want. So what we do is we unpack the communication, because me as the coach, I'm listening to them all the time speak. And then we realize there's some patterns to the way they speak. And with women, this is interesting. With women, what I've realized after doing this now for about 10 years is that what is the unconscious communication with a lot of women is that I'm not good enough. What if, for example, when you talk about digital marketing and creating content, what if nobody likes my content? And these are all intelligent women, right? So there's a lot of self-doubt and self-criticism. And when I ask them, did you realize this is what's going on? They are usually like, no, I didn't even realize that this is the internal dialogue that was going on. So we unpack it, and then we say, why don't put energy into this thing, because they don't even believe it anymore. This was something that happened years and years ago, but never been questioned. And it's there sitting embedded in the subconscious, but comes out when they speak. And so when you communicate, it's everything from your head to your toes, right? It's your energy, it's the way people feel when they're around you. And women also struggle from this issue of perfectionism. Everything has to be right before they're willing to do anything. So that's another big obstacle that women have when it comes to their communication. Everything has to be perfect. Like public speaking, people who come to me to learn public speaking, I'm terrified of public speaking. And I say, yeah, we all started that way. Like, we're all terrified of public speaking. But you build a muscle, right? So you got to get started.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and it's a gentleman, right? And he's talking about doing something, like basically to write a book. And he's like waiting for this and this and this and this. And I said, done is better than perfect.
Yes.
True.
So I always said I'm the belief that done is, because it'll never be perfect. Right? Even if you think it's so good, there's always areas to improve, right? So if you understand that that's the case. So I want that to be part of my subconscious. At least I've done it. Because it's not perfect, right? But at least I've done it.
I just want to jump in there because when I think about people like us, what I tell people is, for me, my 60% is my target. Because I know my 60% is over 100%. So people like us who are practitioners, we've got the background, we know the stuff. We don't need to go for the 100% anymore. Our 60% is way above most people. So I never try to get it perfect anymore, and it has reduced so much of stress. So much of stress for me.
Okay, so what was the lesson there? 60%, right? Of course, it helps reduce stress. And I guess that's from self-reflection as well. And I guess when you go out there and call yourself a conscious communication coach, right? Do people approach you that based on that and say, what are you on about?
Yeah, well, they come to me because it's communication, right?
Right.
Everybody knows. People call it a soft skill, but that just irks me no
Right,
end, right?
right.
It is the master skill of life, lah. Because anything you do, whether you're doing sales, you're doing marketing, you're doing public speaking, you're leading a team or whatever, it's your communication skill that gets you that kind of attention, that gets you the kind of money that you want. So people come to me because of communication. Then when I explain to them why the conscious is tagged on to my communication, then they go like, oh, now I understand.
Right.
And then as we go through the process, they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was carrying this baggage with me, that, you know, in the way I speak, that I'm tentative.
Okay.
You know, so there's particular things that you notice when you're communicating with somebody. There's a lot of tentativeness, for example. There's a lot of, when you're in a meeting, you know, second guessing yourself, afraid to speak up. So it's a lot of things.
And you find that's more with women than men?
Well, to be fair, because the majority of my clients are women, I've had male clients as well. And interestingly, I think with the millennial male clients, I see it a little bit more than I do of the generation before.
Okay.
So I don't have enough legs under that yet to kind of pin it down and say, why is that going on with men? Like,
So I will ask this.
Maybe
this gentleman, this millennial, all the other factors. You know what she said? Is there something that is more? Is that something that men think about as well?
Okay, I lost that part. Like, what were you saying on the last
with
part?
women, right? Women, there's a lot of self-doubt and there's a lot of self-criticism.
Yeah.
And we tend to think that generally with men kind of don't go into the, what they call it, analysis paralysis. Like, did I look good? Did I say this right? Whatever. So men kind of black and white. But what I've noticed with millennial men who've been my clients, there seems to be a little bit more self-doubt than I've seen in the previous generation. So I'm kind of curious what your take is.
I'm telling you, like, it is true. Like, we have the self-doubt. Like I'm telling you, back in 2009 and 10, I used to have problem about anything. I used to make a lot of complaint. And you know, like, when you're making complaint, that means you're not confident.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you're not confident, you're going to make a lot of... I had the issue with weather, traffic, people, my boss, my friends, my siblings, everyone. So, you know, like, it's a practice. As you said, you need to question yourself and you need to have a good fundamental. So what I realized that with the time, if you're willing to take everything on you, like, say, for whatever I'm doing, it's on me. If I win, it's on me. If I lose, it's on me. So when I start having that mindset, it starts changing. But yes, before that, I'm telling you, most of us, because I also hang out with a lot of people with my age in Malaysia and also in my country, people have a lot of doubt and they are looking for the perfect content. And yes, there's nothing called perfect in this world, because we saw in YouTube, someone upload a video of like sleeping for like 3 hours and that got 3 million views.
Wow.
So which is like crazy.
Yeah.
So
it is so unpredictable.
You know that video, right?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
You wouldn't want to waste 3 hours, but it's like
Just sleeping.
just sleeping.
And people actually saw 3 million times. So is that a good content? There's any outcome? No. Yeah.
But he's right, you know, I see it a lot when people are talking about developing content. And I also, like I was talking to you earlier, right? Even with my YouTube content, I've not been consistent and all that. I know I got different topics, but I'm just not getting on with it because I've been focusing on one particular type of social media. But I hear it a lot. What will people think? What if I don't get the views? What if, you know, people don't like what I posted?
I'm telling you a funny thing. When I first created my first video back in 2016 and I posted, the first person who texts me is my cousin, and he texts me like, what the hell you think of yourself? So that's definitely something not encouraging, and I was like so shattered and I feel like I'll delete the video. But then when I decided to delete the video, I saw already 6 likes, and out of 6 likes, someone from DG, he gives a like. And that makes me excited. Wow. That means there's something is interesting. Probably my cousin is not my target market. So I should not stop myself. And I keep doing it, and I'm glad that I did it. So that helps me a lot today. Whatever I am, I think it started from 2016.
Okay, I just want to talk about that. Do you need... Okay, your cousin, huh? There's your cousin. You won't give him a name. I'll give him a name. Okay, anyway. And does it matter, though, what people say and what people think? Was it someone you respect? Was this cousin someone you respected?
Yeah, I do respect, definitely. You know, like, whether it matters and it doesn't matter. It matters. What I mean by it matters is if the feedback is coming from someone like you or Faridah, who actually watch my content and also work in this industry, And if you make a comment, Nowrid, probably, because when you'll criticize me, it will be a constructive criticizing.
Right.
You're going to say, Nowrid, you should not look at like this, you should not behave like this, you should not talk like this, rather than you'll not say, don't ever upload your content. You'll encourage me to upload my content, but probably will help me to find a different, perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to add on that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do with my social media, particularly on LinkedIn, is I actually spend more time commenting on other people's content, and I always give comments, never negative comments, but I'm always having a discussion. Because I'm not so focused on just my content, I'm also wanting to help others, and also I'm curious about people in general. People like us, when it's really curious, right? So I'm curious what people are thinking about, what people are speaking about, and I think that's part of you must understand when you go into social media, it's not just you putting your content, because I think when you go into other people's content and you're interacting with them, the likelihood that they're also going to interact with your content is higher. But I will also add that he's absolutely right in terms of listening to feedback, right? I think it just depends. I think people do have good pointers to give us, and I think we should be open-minded, but it's the way in which that feedback is given to you, because the reality is a lot of people can't take the negative feedback. Like I've learned to, and I've done some.
You develop a thick skin.
I've developed a thick skin because I like to have deep discussions about a lot of issues, and I'm a bit of a contrarian. So I will always question things, and so I've learned how to handle the comments, and it doesn't really bother me because I'm always validating people's opinion, but I'll ask them another question. But I do realize there's a lot of people who just don't know how to respond, and so then they retreat.
I'm so curious about two of you. I want to ask that if anyone drops a negative comment, what do you do? Like delete it?
No, I don't. I don't. I leave it.
Okay.
I leave it, right? I leave it, and then I leave it. And if it's a comment, I will sometimes engage and say, "What do you mean?" Right? But if it's just someone making a stupid comment and everything, I just leave it there. I don't even bother to answer. Right? You know, I want. For me, it's very interesting, right? Is that you go and comment, which is great, right? I think people do appreciate it, right? I tend to, like, if it appears in my feed, I'll put a like or say something. But if it doesn't appear in my feed, I'm not, right? And it's just like, and I'm very, I just think about myself, right? I'm just thinking about what I want to communicate, right? And of course, when people come in with feedback and everything, it's fine, you know? So I was just, this is, I don't know, it's not. I don't know if it's self-reflection or maybe a little bit. I think I did something the other day on a property project I was working on. And then someone commented and said, well, hey, why are you encouraging properties that when people are moving out of their homes and don't have a job, And I'm like, and I deleted that because it was like, you don't even know where the property is. How do you know what kind of land it is? You're making this stupid comment, right? Sure. And I was like, you know, it's just if you've said I've researched on this property and this property was actually you know, gazetted for something else and now they're using for something else, I would appreciate. But this was just a out of the blue comment, no research on your part. You're just wasting my time. Verbal diarrhea, right? So you're wasting my time. Okay. Back to self-reflection.
People try to make themselves relevant, and because they don't know how to communicate, and so they just.
But if the person that commented said, "Did you know that this is like this and this was like this," and then like, you know, did you know that? I would like, really? I would appreciate that, right? But where did this come from, right? What was this? This property was very earmarked for property development 20, 30 years ago, right? So anyway. So, self-reflection has been described as looking into a mirror and describing what you see. So, it is a way of, as we move up the screen a little bit, it's a way of assessing yourself, your ways of working, how you study. So, to put it simply, this is taken from Wikipedia or Google. To put it simply, reflection means to think about something. So, is it a conscious thing on your part? Like, you know, like as in, every time something happens, right, do you stop and think for a while? I mean,
when it's something that because this is my stock in trade, right? Because this is what I teach for people. So I've come up with a 4-step plan, which is called compulsive. You start with compulsion and then you become conscious. So conscious is you're witnessing that storm in your head, right? And then you aim towards becoming coherent, because then you're witnessing and saying, okay, let me be objective about what I think transpired.
Okay.
Right? Because instead of interpreting it out of just because I'm angry
a lot of
or
people
I'm
just
upset.
compulsory.
Yeah,
Okay, go on.
yeah. And then to look at it and say, yeah, I mean, it's fine to have emotions, like somebody pissed you off and you got angry, and that's fine. But I think if you want to be coherent, you have to understand that you have to logically make sense of what happened and understand that you may not know the entire story. Like I like to use the word backstory. You don't know the whole story of why someone was in a bad mood, right? And then only then can you talk about being congruent, because that's part of the self-reflection, to say that, maybe somebody had a bad day. Maybe he just had a fight with the wife before he came here, and that's why he's in a foul mood, right? Maybe he just lost a client. And people react, they say things. Nobody's perfect. We've all had days where we just, we say things to people because we're upset about something. So I think this is the reflection that I always tell people as well. I said, I even though I've been doing this for so long, I have days when I say something wrong, right? I never want to be the person who says, I got this all figured out. No, it's just that I'm a little bit more conscious.
Right.
And I have this process, like I'm trying to make sense of it. And the other thing I do is, I think it's always good to have somebody to bounce off about what happened. And in my case, I use my husband on big issues, right?
Mr.
Because
Calm.
I want, exactly. We are opposites, total opposites, right? And he's very logical and calm.
He's German.
So
he's very logical.
So he's very logical. And then he'll tell me, why did you interpret that way? Because this is not how I see it. Like, when you tell me what this person said, I didn't interpret it that way. And that makes me go,
It's actually true. It's actually true.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got a message and I find it so offensive, and I show it to my wife. You see how he writes it, and she said, "It looks very fine. Like, why you're taking it too seriously?" Like,
so it gives us perspective, and I always tell people, you should have that one person, whether it's a best friend, it's a partner, somebody who will be willing to tell you the truth.
Okay, I want to know that thing. What's the thing again?
Compulsive.
Compulsive.
Then you become conscious, which you're witnessing, and then you become coherent. That means you're putting everything in the right box, right? Logically, different perspective. And then you become congruent, because if you say, this is the identity that I want to have, like this is the kind of person that I want to be, understanding that most things are outside of our control, the way other people behave, then you become congruent and say, you know what, even if somebody is in a bad mood, I'm not going to react, because I understand that they may have had a bad day, and I may come back to them 2 days later and say, hey, this happened.
I love
Could
this.
you said all these things, but I'm just kind of wondering what's going on.
Okay, so this is self-reflection. This is a three-step, a process, four-step, four things that you have to go through. Because when I know, and I know I am very, I know that about me, right? Compulsion. Now I didn't know. Now that I can put those words and say, okay, I've got to be like this, right? I know that when I'm pissed off about something, I have to stop. That much I know, right? And then like maybe just fester for a while. If it takes 24 hours, whatever, fester. Then I'm calm, right? Because I know that if I don't, things might come out really badly. And this is just like life lesson on self-reflection.
Yes, absolutely. It's happened to all of us.
That's right. There's you just hurt someone along the process and everything. They say, okay, fine. Maybe that person came from this perspective. Maybe that person came from this perspective.
Because I think most people are not evil or malicious.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? There are one or two, but most people don't set out wanting to spoil your day, right?
True.
There's other things happening. Could be money problems, could be children problems, husband problem, wife problem, whatever. So I think if the older you get and hopefully the wiser, is to just say, you know what, I'm going to walk away from this because I'm not going to engage, because nothing's going to come out of us shouting at one another.
Right.
So then you come back 2 days later, and either you stay quiet, because I've done both. I've stayed quiet, and then 2 days later the person will message me and say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, or 2 days later I'll say what was going on, because, and then they are just so happy for a chance to just explain.
Right.
But it also gives them consciousness about what happened, and that they maybe need to think about the fact that they're just reacting rather than responding. And those two things are also very important.
Because most of us react.
Most people react, yes.
They don't take the time to respond. Okay. So this is I love that 4-part, right? So I read somewhere there's this 3-step approach to self-reflection: reflect, experience, think about what you did, thought, and felt at the time. And sometimes, right, for me, when I do that, before I get to the second step, right, why am I thinking this way, right? Why am I angry about this? And then you look like, so,
all the past memories, the past experiences.
Okay, so what triggered it?
Yes.
Why did this annoy me so quickly, right? So reflect on your learning, analyze experience, and compare to the principles and apply your learning. So this is something, again, I don't know, age law. So, sorry.
I think we all works in progress, right?
Yeah.
I think life kind of hits us from many directions. And then you make a decision whether you're going to learn from it or you're not. But in the end, like you were saying earlier, you can't change anybody else. In the end, if you want to change, you have to do it
by yourself. Actually, the 3 steps mentioned in here, yes, definitely. I mean, consciously, I'm not following these 3 steps, but actually, if you take a look, we all are following these 3 steps more or less eventually, because I remember when I told you, like when I was making complaint, I actually realized that this is what is not working. This is giving me the solution. So I analyze it.
Right.
And then second, what I did, actually get the lesson from it. So the second thing, what I need to do, I need to stop it. And then the third thing, I need to implement in my life. But when you're implementing it, you need some motivation. Definitely when you are frustrated or things are not working for you, you'll not have enough power to, carry forward. So problem for the third thing to implement, you need a partner, you need a friend who can actually, push you a little bit so you can go on. But yes, I mean, consciously and subconsciously, we're following these 3 steps, I think.
So 3 steps, and then your 4 C's, right? And then are there tools that you use, right?
Yes.
To help you guys? So people journal, people meditate, right? Or any other techniques, right? And why does it work for you? What do you do?
Okay. So I do walking meditation in the morning. I've got a whole playlist of affirmations as well as, like very wise people talking about things and then things about, just like habits and things like that. So I've got a whole playlist. So I get up in the morning and say, okay, today I think I need to listen to something like this. And so I put on my AirPods and then I'm, going for a walk with my husband and my dogs. And so that's about 45-minute walk. So I'm listening. So I start the day, because that works for me. I'm a morning person.
Right.
So I start the day with just really wise stuff in my head.
Yeah.
And it sets me up for the day. Because when you look at the world from the perspective of someone who's very wise and who's telling you these things, it's very hard for the little things to kind of like just get at you, because you're looking at the bigger picture.
True.
Right? And it's like, for example, like somebody maybe they just had a bad day. Somebody cut you off on the street. Maybe they're rushing to, because somebody is sick and they're rushing to get to the hospital.
And then am I sweating the small stuff?
Yeah. So for me, that works. Walking meditation is, to me, has been the most powerful.
Yeah. 2 things I do. One is like watching a lot of content by either Gary Vee or probably Simon Sinek or probably Tom Bailu. So they're my top playlist. So I consume a lot of content.
Right.
If it's still not making me calm or not making me, feeling good enough, then I listen a lot of music. So when I'm listening to the music, it makes my mind to go calm, and then half an hour later, I can make better decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are your sort of
what do you do?
For me, I sometimes journal, but not that regularly. But I know, for me, I like my walk in the morning. I'm also a morning person, right? And I don't have anything with me. I'm just letting the mind wander, right? Letting the mind wander. But I find that I need to, if I need to write things out, or I need to draw things out. I need to see the picture. I'm visual, so sometimes I have to see. I've got a couple of things, but I need to see the picture. I need to be okay. It makes sense to me. So that's my thing of a self-reflection, right? And so interesting. Okay, so some tools on self-reflection that you can do, but start the day right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's really important.
So important.
Because I know when you don't do that, right, your day it just goes.
Wow, I've had days when I've skipped it,
right?
And it's so dramatic, the difference. I can tell the difference when I haven't started my day well.
Okay.
Right, because then the little things, you traffic.
Everything
Somebody cuts you off, and then you're like, But it's the little things, right? It's not so much the big things anymore, because I'm so conscious of the way I communicate. But I would absolutely say start your day right.
True.
Right. Okay. Okay. So and do you, for example, do you get input from someone? So you were saying that you have your wife that you go to, I guess, for conversation. You also
my husband and my siblings.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this one, I think, do I do I need, is it like inside feeling or
Right.
do I need an outside
Yeah.
factor as well? I think it's 60% is inside feeling because
Okay.
as Faridah was mentioning, like sometimes we are like going through the same journey and we're not realizing when I need to stop, when I need to look back what I have done. So what happened, like if you, this first call you need to make that, okay, I need to stop and I need to see what's going wrong, what's going right. So the 60% I feel like it's inside job, and then for the rest of the 40%, you need to have a partner who can actually tell you, yes, whatever you're finding is actually correct, or yes, it's not wrong, it's fine. So yeah, I think it's 60% inside, 40% is you need.
Is that your
factor.
equation?
I don't quite have the equation. I think for me, maybe it's because of my age. I think we're just a bit older, right? So I've been through life a bit.
Right,
So
right.
a lot of
Maybe.
it, I can figure it out. But I think when I go to my husband, it's like the bigger things,
Right.
like it's family related or it's client related or something. And somebody sends me a WhatsApp, and I'm like, it sounds a little cut. It sounds like they're a little bit upset. Am I overthinking this, right?
Right.
So for me, I think maybe 70 my inner and maybe 30 more for him. I save it for the big things,
Right.
Yeah.
so that he can give me perspective. And he always gives me really good perspective because he knows me. He knows me, and he also knows that when he tells me maybe the stuff I don't want to hear, that's the stuff I need to hear.
Yeah, but I think that 30% you don't take the decision, you rather listen and you end up with your own decision.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Maybe we'll go to the question after that, right? What about a time when you didn't like yourself because of self-reflection? And then like, okay.
Yeah, well, I've got a story, but you want to go first?
Okay, now okay.
So I have a very awkward story. Like when I was doing my bachelor, I was starting business, and after starting for like 2 years, I feel like this is what I'm not enjoying.
Okay.
So, and I feel like, okay, I should do what I enjoy. And I used to do music. So I started doing music and I left my study. And then after doing it for like 1 year, I actually realized that it was not a right decision because yes, initially I feel like I should go for what I like to do. I should do that. But after 1 year, I realized probably I should continue both of them together because there's some certain value and certain learning you can have from your graduation, what you will not get while you're doing the music.
Right.
Because your education, you need some certain education to move forward in your life. And I think this is where I have a little bit of like, not a good feeling about the self-reflection. But I think that was a good lesson for me. Yes, so I stopped my study for like 1 year and I can continue after 1 year.
Right.
So I think that decision, sometime I feel like I
Right.
should have not taken it. Yeah.
What did you do? What music?
I used to have a rock band. So we used to play Metallica, Bon Jovi.
Were you a vocalist or?
I was a vocalist.
vocalist.
Yes, I was a vocalist.
I see.
So
So now you can do both.
yes, now I can do both, and actually I'm doing both.
Okay. This is the other side.
Yeah.
Is it on LinkedIn?
Yes, it's on. No, I don't post on LinkedIn. It's on Instagram.
On Instagram. So I mean, like, do check them out on LinkedIn. I think if you want to see the professional side. What about
You like this one, Frida, because this is to
tell
do
me.
with relationships.
Tell me the story.
So this was really hard for me because I got dumped. This is years and years ago, right? So I was in a relationship. I got dumped. It was a very acrimonious breakup. And so I was like, I've been beaten up emotionally quite a bit by that time, and I just thought this cannot go on. So I needed to do the self-reflection as to why my relationships were not working out.
Right.
And who to look at? Yourself, right? Because you can blame. Of course, initially you blame the person and say, oh, this person is this, right? But eventually you have to say, okay, I'm the common factor in why this is not working out. So that was hard because it was very raw, and I had to be so honest with myself about what about me, my character, my personality, my way of communication that was causing all these problems. That why, I got dumped and wasn't working out. So that to me to this day remains the hardest thing I ever did. But I'm so glad I did it because it turned my life around. Right. I really came to the conclusion that these were the reasons that I was messing up.
Right.
And if I wanted to be in a relationship, I better sort this part about my personality out. Otherwise, I was going to end up like, it's going to keep repeating the same mistake over
and you could be
over
with
again.
someone, get married, and then you haven't sorted that out yet. It probably wouldn't have worked out anyway.
So that I would say was one of my top 3 lah, definitely. Probably my number 1, I would say, because it changed my life, not just in terms of my intimate relationship, but I think just in general. To when you have conflict with anybody, I think you also have to look at the part you play that's causing the conflict, and that's always hard for people.
Right. For me, I know I can self-reflection. I know I can be caustic. You know, it's and then people think sarcasm is cute, right? And then and I heard this ages ago, when you're being sarcastic with someone, people maybe you're being sarcastic with someone in front of a bunch of people, right? But you're hurting people in the process, right? And it's just like, okay, I don't want to be known as that person. You know, I'm very capable of that quick-witted, witty. You think it's witty, but you're hurting people in the process, right? So it's okay, you can be self-deprecating and have a laugh at yourself, but not other people, right? Okay, now why do you feel that some people are uncomfortable with self-reflection? Don't want or don't know how?
I think it's hard.
Right.
It's hard work. If you're really going to do the work of self-reflection, it's going to take time. There's no quick fixes, but you do need, if you want your life to just get better, you need to do it. So I think people don't want to do it. When I do coaching and all that, it's hard for people to finally, it takes a couple of sessions before they finally open up and admit this is what's really going on.
True.
So I think one is that, and I think the other thing is sometimes people do not feel they have somebody around them, a safe space to actually talk about what's really bothering them because they're afraid of being judged. So I think that's why people come to coaching, because I'm not a therapist, but in whatever I coach people in communications, those elements will come up. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's people don't want, because no one wants to go outside of your comfort zone, because when you are doing the self-reflection, you're actually judging yourself as well, what you have done wrong and what you have done right. So for right, you're taking the credit, but for whatever things you have done wrong, it's very hard to accept. You don't want to accept it, and that's why people, I think, don't want to do it, and they're uncomfortable with self-reflection.
I always say, how do you work on perfection? Okay, final question, right? How did self-reflection help you navigate 2020 and the pandemic? I'm sure there was a lot of self-reflection last year.
A lot. Now do you want to go?
Now you go first.
Yeah, okay. I think there's 2 things that helped me a lot, to navigate in 2020 in this pandemic. So first of all, we don't know what to do, right? We have never seen that situation. So I feel like I need to do something for myself. And second, I need to do something for the people, as much as I can. So the first thing what I did for myself, because last 3 years I've done a lot of training. So I didn't have enough time to learn something for myself. And I feel like this is the best time to do something. And I learned a few skills, and 2 skills I'm very proud of. One is video editing, and another one is music production. So I think it would have not possible if I didn't had, that situation, So that situation makes me feel like I need to learn something new. Yes, I felt it before, but you don't have time to stop.
Because everybody was,
Yeah, you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything.
Okay, no one's disturbing me. I finally have some time to do something.
I hear that a lot.
And second thing, what I feel when when the things start getting worse, I feel like I want to help people. Yes, you cannot help people always with the money. And I feel like, okay, I have knowledge. I know how to do digital marketing. So I contact with, luckily, few institutes who are working with me. And together we have offered digital marketing courses from last August to till now. So not only with one institute, few institutes, we have, run different digital marketing courses. And I think we have, trained good enough numbers of people. I think it's more than 1,000 people who have got the training. So these 2 things, I think, really helped me a lot in this pandemic time.
Okay.
So for me, this was actually a very profound self-reflection. Initially, when the first wave hit, it was very difficult for me because I felt imprisoned in the house because you can't even go out of the outside, right? So when they finally allowed us to then start going out, I became so grateful that I could just go out and go do my walk. So I think to me, it just made me really, really conscious about the environment, animals, the fauna, the flora, and how we are destroying it. And I think the second thing that happened in my mind was I was just thinking, this consumerism society that we live in, this has got to stop. Because we are spoiling the environment. This happened because of over-consumerism, right? And it's just a warning shot, you know.
Yeah.
There's going to be another one
Yeah.
that's going to be far worse. And if people just don't change their behavior and just become more conscious of how you're living your own life, even in the little ways that you do something, I think we're going to be asking for trouble. I'm a little bit skeptical in the sense that I think once most people are vaccinated and we have herd immunity, people will go back to their old habits.
Yes.
And I don't like this idea of enforcement to force us to change. But to me, this was just a very profound time. I think just spending time with family and friends and being very grateful for what you have. Because a lot of the times you don't have time because you're just running from one thing to another.
All right, thank you. You know, we've run out of time. Thank you so much. You know, it's been great. I love the lessons that I've learned about self-reflection. There is a process for self-reflection. I think we can all learn from that. When you find yourself being compulsive, stop. Okay, 2, 3, 4 steps after that again. So Nowrid, Faridah, thank you again. Enjoy Raya. As we'll be celebrating that soon. So my next topic will be regrets. I had a few. And of course, you know, that's the title, the starting of a song, right? I'll have 2 guests joining me too. And who are they? We'll find out in 2 weeks' time. And you've been watching Life's a Stage with me, Faridah Liu, on Jenn TV.